McShin Foundation is Virginia's leading peer-to-peer recovery organization. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, let us get you connected. We can help you build a solid foundation through recovery. Here at the McShin Foundation, we are committed to healing families and saving lives.
Say I'm not a public speaker, but I see some very familiar faces in the crowd that are going to make me feel a little bit more comfortable. So good evening. My name is John Dees. I'm going to share my opinions on some issues this evening, and they are just that, opinions. I do not claim to have all the answers to the question posed to us today, which is what are addiction solutions? For the last 16 years, I've had the honor, privilege, and professional challenge to work as a probation officer with the Hanover Juvenile Drug Treatment Court program. It has been very meaningful but very difficult work. For those of you who are not familiar with this type of program, I will briefly share what things we do. Every day, and I do mean every day, on weekdays, nights, weekends, and holidays, and sometimes at 3 a.m., we attempt to bring young people out of the brain fog of addiction and eliminate repeat criminal behaviors by encouraging these youth to lengthen their stretches of sobriety. Drug court teams all over the state and nation are working collaboratively and diligently toward these goals by leveraging the power, authority, and accountability of judges and the Commonwealth attorneys to move people into therapeutic treatment relationships that have the potential to save their lives and their productivity. What we cannot do is miracles. We have no magic wand. We cannot guarantee success. And when our clients fail in big and small ways, it can be gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. Make no mistake in your thinking. For those people suffering from addiction, recovery is a lifelong challenge, and they cannot afford to drop their guard for 1 minute, as there are triggers and relapse opportunities that are stalking them every day. In Hanover County, we are blessed to have buy-in from the Commonwealth Attorney and judges for the drug court programs. One very exciting positive development in this community is that in the recent past, they've come up with a drug court program for adult offenders. I was involved personally in seeing the development of the juvenile court program, and it really took a lot of people putting forth a lot of effort from different agencies. I see some representatives here from some of those agencies. Just a lot of effort was involved. So the community correction staff that have put together the adult drug court program, they've put out a lot of effort, I can assure you. And it's a good thing that it's available here in the community. So for people that are not like immersed in the justice and court system on a daily basis, I'm just going to briefly explain some of the structural facts about drug courts that help make them succeed. In our program, we have clients in front of the court on a very regular schedule. This helps the clients be recognized for their successes and held accountable for dishonest and self-destructive behaviors. If young people in this program, along with their parent or guardians, succeed in completing the program, which is very rigorous, they have the opportunity to have their criminal charges dismissed. For criminal offenders who come before the juvenile court outside of the drug court program as kind of a routine case, they have very little face time with the judge. And by the time their case is concluded, a lot of times so much time has elapsed that they don't even remember what they did wrong. They go through the process of arraignment, trial, and disposition that can take months. So a lot of times young people are not in front of the judge quickly in that type of situation. The drug courts are able to fast track the process somewhat and give high risk, high need offenders the more immediate attention that they need. So personally, I believe in the drug court treatment model. I see definite advantages to this approach. There are some other interventions and strategies that I've come to believe in through my experience and observations. There is some controversy around this particular approach, but I personally believe that in some cases, emphasize some cases, MAT or medically assisted treatment can save lives. This treatment approach can be very expensive, and I believe that resources need to be directed toward the goal of bringing down the cost to a manageable level. 1 monthly shot of Vivitrol currently, which requires careful monitoring and qualified medical supervision, that one shot can exceed $1,000. I think Narcan training is important. I think they've got some Narcan here. If somebody's alive, there's still hope, and it's important to make that available. I'd also like to say something about accountability. In the drug court program, the professionals on the team use regular feedback to hold each other accountable as part of weekly case staffing discussions. We're always trying to make certain that we've responded to a given situation in an ethical and effective way. We hold our clients accountable for probation rule violations as well. Now, a lot of folks here are more connected in the 12-step community. There's a place for accountability in the 12-step community. In my opinion, the 12-step community is a vital part of recovery for many drug court clients. Accountability is accomplished through the actions there of group leaders and sponsors. And I cannot emphasize enough the value of a solid, honest, and supportive AA or NA sponsor. They are worth their weight in gold in the recovery community, and their work in the trenches should be celebrated and supported. On the other hand, the individuals who infiltrate the 12-step community to prey on addicts in various ways should be rooted out and shown the door. It is urgently important that addicts get their spiritual houses in order as well. And if your higher power is yourself, your chances for lasting recovery are slim. I have another controversial opinion that kind of goes against the grain these days, and that is that we, as a nation, should not quit the so-called war on drugs. I look at it like this. Quitting a war is, after all, losing a war. What I believe is we should continue the vigorous interdiction of deadly substances like fentanyl and heroin that pour through our borders every day. But I am of the opinion that more federal and state resources need to be directed toward providing quality community and residential-based treatment services for those struggling with the disease of addiction. Individuals in immediate crisis should not be facing treatment waiting lists of 2 months or more. The Center for Disease Control reported that in 1999, there were 16,849 deaths attributed to overdose. In 2017, this number was up to 70,237, and it has continued to rise at an appalling and unacceptable level. Deaths resulting from drunk driving, which also result from addiction issues, have stabilized somewhat, but roughly 30 deaths a day are attributed to drunk driving incidents nationwide. Every one of these individual numbers represents a valuable and potentially productive human being who was made in the image of God, and the impact of their loss is staggering to families and communities throughout Virginia. So what are some things that we as individuals can do to address this crisis? Well, in my opinion, Virginians are a very philanthropic and charitable people, and there are numerous places where financial support can be effectively directed. Some that immediately come to mind are the Caron Foundation, the Salvation Army, and the McShin Foundation. If you're a business owner, you may offer a job opportunity to someone struggling with addiction, even while knowing that they could potentially fail or be difficult to work with. You can also advocate for recovery. Use your leverage as a citizen and a voter to help make these problems a priority for local, state, and federal politicians. In closing, I would say that this war on drugs, which is really also a war on addiction, in this war, we need to tend to our casualties, the needs of our casualties. And by casualties, I mean those that have been devastated by the loss of a loved one to addiction. We must offer them our thoughts and prayers because both do matter. But we also must give them love, time, support, and encouragement to find their way forward with emotional wounds that are so severe that they may never fully heal. We must stand with them and grieve with them. And let us all be challenged to be part of the solution.